The groups don't always get along. We witnessed this during a discussion at MacLeod's house.
Black folk had to be concerned with it because
MacLeod was joined by her family and two friends. One of Pakistani descent who had lost his job at a Muslim relief organization when the federal government froze its assets after September 11th.
My parents came here, they worked, in Canada, they earned an honest living. And then all of a sudden today I'm told that, without any reason that, you work for a so-called organization and you can't do this anymore. And I still can't come to terms with it.
The federal government froze the assets of his employer, the Global Relief Foundation, alleging it had secret evidence that they were helping to finance terrorist activities. The foundation denies the charge. MacLeod feels the civil rights of innocent immigrants are being violated and that all American Muslims should be concerned. MacLeod's own daughter sees it differently.
As far as I'm concerned, Arabs, they came over here, they had no bonding or care or wanted to have any type of even Muslim relationship with African Americans. I don't think that African Americans who've always had problems with civil rights should be sticking their neck out for a group of people asking for trouble and for a group of people who have done nothing for us. Period.
My major area is Quran.
MacLeod herself converted to Islam in 1966. She is now an associate professor of Islamic studies at Chicago's DePaul University.
Because the African American Muslim community is the largest ethnic group of Muslims in the country,
she chose her field because she saw a special need for accurate knowledge about the African American Muslim community.
It occurred to me in graduate school that everybody thought all African American Muslims belonged to the Nation of Islam, which I thought was probably the funniest thing I'd ever heard because I knew no members of the Nation of Islam, but I knew thousands of African American Muslims.
In fact, the majority of African American Muslims belong not to the Nation of Islam, but to the Muslim American Society led by Imam W. Deen Mohammed. The total number of African American Muslims in all groups is estimated between 1.5 and 4.5 million.
As historians and other researchers uncover a very rich Muslim past in slavery, they're still looking at, in 2002, Christianity is still about race. It's still the blonde-haired white Jesus with blue eyes. They're saying, no, I'm not worshiping white men. For some others who were nothing, not inside of a structured religious community, it is I want to be inside of a structured religious community. So African American conversion, a lot like Latino American conversion, is sometimes from dissatisfaction, other times from searching.
I was like searching for something better, a better life.
Dia Richardson of Los Angeles was raised a Christian. In November of 2001, she became one of an estimated 20,000 Americans a year who are converting to Islam.
I was having a lot of problems and I wasn't living right. I was running around, clubbing every night, drinking, smoking weed.
Dia went to a wedding at the King Fahd Mosque in Culver City. She'd never even been inside a mosque before.
It was beautiful when I walked in, and right when I walked in, I don't know who it was that day, but he was saying the adhan, the call to prayer. It made me feel really good. It was like, it made me stop. And I kept saying, what is that? But what's that called? What is he saying? And, it would sound really beautiful when he was singing. That was the first time that I had ever seen prayer being done inside of a masjid. Okay, we're coming like about 12:30.
So a month or so later, Dia made the decision to become a Muslim. Her children already attended a Muslim daycare center in East LA run by her godaunt, Khadija.
And when I drove over here to bring my kids, I walked in the door and I saw, her and everyone and they're covered and all the little kids in their covers, and I just looked at her and I said, I want to take Shahada. And then she was like, what?
Shahada is the declaration of faith. That was telling her
That I only
want
believe in
to
one God.
become a Muslim.
And I said, okay, give me my hijab, give me a big old dress and everything. And everyone was like, oh my, you're gonna cover your head up and they didn't expect me to come in full blown like that.
We had charity, we had fasting during the month of Ramadan, we had salat.
Since she's converted, Dia's been staying at her godaunt's house.
We had Shahada, so what's missing?
At Aunt Khadija's, she lives in a Muslim world. But past the front door, it's a heavily Christian neighborhood.
Like you guys can see, I'm surrounded by Jesus is everywhere. There's churches on every corner.
Dia is still dealing with a reaction to her conversion from friends and colleagues who knew her before.
We're on our way to the Silver Slipper Beauty Salon. I used to work there for many years. They were really shocked when they first found out that I converted. And they asked me, well, how can you be a Muslim? Muslims don't date. And they think that the women are deprived. Hello. Hi, Becky.
How you doing?
I'm fine, how are you?
Blessed in the name of Jesus.
Were you shocked when you see me? Okay, everybody was shocked, yeah.
Yeah, everybody was shocked.
Do you think I'm more calm?
I have to be around you a little longer. Like, we have to go out and eat. And I'll tell you what. But so far, you seem like you're a little calmer, yeah. Because usually, even when you come in here, you're like, hey, you run all around.
I was like asleep by 9.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Okay,
that's totally not you.
Yeah, that's not me at all.
I'm still, like I say, look, we're gonna see by Christmas what's going on. But hopefully, if it's gonna just help you with that and help you be more focused and calm, I'm all for it.
Everybody's just like, whatever comes. I feel not apart from the community. I feel different. To be a good Muslim is like to be a good Christian or to be a good Jew.
As an African American, Dia made the choice to become a Muslim. For immigrants, the choice is how to negotiate their traditions within a secular American culture.
Let's move, you girls. Girls, let's go.
Back at the Universal School in Bridgeview, Illinois, Safa Zarzour sees living in two cultures as both challenge and opportunity.
Our vision and our dream is that there is something that's called the American Muslim identity forming with those kids, just like any other religious or ethnic group.
There are now over 400 Muslim day schools across America.
Very quickly I realized how much Arab and Muslim children who have been born and raised in America, how much they face, because many times their parents are immigrants and they don't know a lot of what goes on in the society.
I talked to your mom yesterday.
Yeah. And those kids kind of feel like they would like to make their mom and dad happy, but also there's this society that they are faced with and they have to live in. And it's very hard to kind of negotiate those two things. And I feel like I have balanced the two. And I can transfer that somehow.
You're going to write 2 journal entries. First entry is going to be how your life was before factories.
We teach them what Islam stands for as a religion. The way, the average Muslim around the world practice it. And at the same time show them within the American society those beautiful things that are at the heart of Islam and show them how there is no contradiction in essence.
Write it in your journal.
I see more Islamic values in this country than I see in some of the so-called Islamic countries. You know, at the heart of it is justice and fairness and the rule of law and equality before the law and those things.
The school also makes a point of teaching the students about other religions.
We do believe that Abraham is the father of all three religions, of the father of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. And so we do feel that our kids, we have a special responsibility to make them familiar with those two religions in particular.
Since September 11th, Zarzour has also been involved in dialogue with Muslims outside the school.
Up until maybe a few months ago, my feeling is that although there is the occasional person out there, the occasional racist, in general, what we are experiencing is just what everybody else experienced when they are a new community trying to put themselves together, trying to introduce themselves to the larger American society, to all other groups. Now, from about September 11 until now, I feel like there's an added burden. I almost feel like we as Muslims may not have the same luxury that the Irish Catholics had, or the Jews had, or anybody else had, that those people had the luxury to develop, and finally everybody look at them and say, yes, you are an American. Yeah, you are a Jew, but you are an American. Yes, you are a Catholic, but you are an American.
And this is, I mean, the only faith that I've seen. If somebody commits a crime and he's Muslim, it's Islam, you know, it's right on the front page, you look. Definitely. Muslim commits a crime. You know, if Tom or John or something, it's not, they're not going to say, you know, Catholic man commits crime or a Jewish man. It's the way it is. I mean, you can complain about it or you can change it.
To me, that is precisely what I worry about, is we become perpetual victims.
The only thing that I know how to be is an American. That's the only thing that I know how to be, is an American Muslim. When somebody questions my my loyalty to this country, it's frustrating. But I believe communication is the key.
I think people in this community have at some point decided that we are American Muslims, and that somehow we are going to function within those two realms and not limit ourselves to one or the other, and definitely not split our personality into two separate ones.
Allahu Akbar.
In fact, I look at Muslims in the United States as being in a very unique position to be able to produce a model for how Islam can be lived and how it can be practiced vis-a-vis other religions and other people.
Allahu Akbar.
For some Muslims, building that new American identity has meant making personal decisions they'd never even considered before.
Having grown up in Saudi Arabia, being a Muslim wasn't really an option. It wasn't really anything you thought about. You were required to live a Muslim life.
Yasmin Saeed moved to America with her parents 12 years ago. Now she's a New York marketing professional who has found her own way to be a Muslim.
It wasn't until I came to the United States that my spiritual identity came to question for the very first time, because I actually had the option of believing and not believing. I had the option of choosing to practice or not practice. It wasn't until about the last year that I have truly become very secure and comfortable with my connection to Islam.
And that connection took a new turn after September 11th.
I'm calling from Muslims Against Terrorism.
From what?
It's an organization called Muslims Against Terrorism. He'll know it. Just write. Muslims Against Terrorism came about the day after September 11th. We were completely in shock, paralyzed by the tragedy, of course.
Churches, some are going to be more interested in
And a group of us young Muslim professionals from varying backgrounds basically emailed and called each other and said, you know what, enough is enough. We need to stop allowing extremists dictate the public face of Islam. We, most importantly, didn't just offer this kind of dialectic just because we are doing a PR. We backed ourselves up with Islamic theology, because that is the same language that those extremists are using. One example is jihad that they claim that they're fighting is completely groundless. It was just purely, completely un-Islamic.
Yasmin volunteers 8 to 10 hours a week. She makes presentations at churches, synagogues, and to other groups. On this day, she was speaking to New York City public school students.
Let's start getting some conversation going.
We also kind of brainstorm the stereotypes that we feel that are out there against Muslims and Arabs.
The students had listed what they believed to be common prejudices about Muslims.
Go to the mosque, pray to Allah. Next.
Terrorists, body odor.
Own grocery stores, own smoke shops. Women wear scarves. Women are uneducated. Been in jail, don't eat pork, they're black, wear nose rings, must be married before having sex, a lot of children.
Wow, this is intense. This is very good, actually. I would have to say that you probably pretty much summed it up. I mean, summed up most of the general misconceptions and biases that people have of Arabs and Muslims. People who are not very well informed about Islam assume that Islam is an Arabic religion. They assume that all Muslims are Arabs and all Arabs are Muslims. Here's a fact. Only 13% of the entire Muslim population in the world are actually Arabs. So it's a very small percentage, okay?
What I feel my contribution is to be able to at least bridge the gap, the intolerance that exists, the ignorance, the lack of knowledge about Islam, and just kind of put a new face to Islam.
This veil is not a representation of Islam. It is not. It is not required by Islam. It is not something that women have to wear.
In America, Yasmin has chosen not to cover her hair except when she goes to the mosque or other religious activities. Sometimes other Muslims object.
By virtue of the fact that I don't wear hijab, I'm automatically put into question every day, all the time. I may know 100 times more about Islamic theology than another Muslim woman who chooses to wear hijab, but some parts of the Muslim community will probably take her more seriously over me because they associate Islamism with how much you cover.
Put it on the more common way.
Yasmin learned much of what she knows about Islam from her father. He's a dental surgeon, now retired and divorced from Yasmin's mother. He lives in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. On this weekend home, the conversation turned to issues affecting Muslims abroad. There'd been a recent attack by Muslim extremists on a church in Pakistan. Father and daughter turned to a passage in the Quran discussing proper attitudes toward people of other faiths.
So in other words, it puts the people of the Christians, we are Christians, priests and monks, treat them with their nearest with affection.
That's exactly. Therefore, the fight between Muslims and non-Muslims, they said, if you see any priests or monks in any religion, don't touch them at all.
Yeah, and then what happens in Pakistan, they go into a church and then they blow people up.
As I told you, Yasmin, this has nothing to do with Islam. This is politic. Because to kill person, any person, is big sin. Any person, religious or non-religious, to kill anything.
Yeah, but Dad, not everything. Here's the you know what I think is the biggest problem in the Muslim community? We're in a constant state of denial. We always say, oh, well, you know, this is not religion, this is not politics. We're such conspiracy theorists that we don't accept the fact that there are Muslims out there who sincerely do this because they believe in it. I mean, can't we accept that fact?
No, you are right. But this is not only Muslim and non-Muslim. This is the history of the world. I am very sorry. But what to do?
Yeah, I know. Well, but Nissi, that's not good enough for me. What to do is the condition of the helpless. You know, you say, oh, well, you know, what can we do about it?
No.
You know, it was very hard to grapple with saying, you know what? we need to take responsibility. We need to be able to face the truth. Because we can't change our future if we can't face the truth.
But still, they are human beings. They can make mistakes too.
In America, Muslims like Yasmin and her father are relatively free to debate their faith and their politics, but they are largely removed from the rest of the Muslims.